What's up, Super Fun Force? Time to get into my first video for the Dragon Ball Super card game. I'm really excited. And today I'm going to do a quick video to give you guys some deck tech, some strategy, and some ideas on building the new Son Goku leader, the red leader from the Ultimate Squad set. This is turning a very, very popular leader and deck archetype, even before the set released. And basically, it's no surprise that it's doing pretty well in tournaments. I think it's going to be great power, a great power level for people who are both, beginners and experienced. And I will say that it's definitely fun and thematic. So I really liked the GT anime back in the days. I never got a chance to finish it because, I'm old school like that, where they weren't even really subtitling anime. Like, it was very hard to get any kind of translation for Dragon Ball and stuff. I would only see them at, specialty shops that were basically importing, anime things, gift shops that you see more of today. But, things were obviously even more expensive back then and harder to get, unless you buy also bootlegs or fan-made, fan-sub versions at conventions, which was another thing I did. So now, anyways, going back to this deck, one thing I'm going to do in these videos is I'm going to talk about the theme a little bit. So as I mentioned before, this is coming out of the Dragon Ball GT anime, and it really captures the theme, which is you have Goku, who has been wished back to being young from Pilaf, who got the Dragon Balls, and he sits in a space with Trunks and Pan. What's really cool is that Trunks is kind of like the main character, so to speak, So again, I really like how they thematically captured that feel for sure. Now, talk about the deck really quick. Basically, the strategy is you start and play, you have this Vessel of Hope, Unison. And by the way, this is for people who who are familiar with the game already, so I won't be able to explain, obviously all the rules and everything. And you can look up more details when you check out the website from Dragon Ball Card Game if you want to read more into the cards themselves. Okay, so that being said, this deck really revolves around the Unison. And basically, what you're going to do is you're going to start the game with one in play. And then with his power and with this ability, you're going to put cards from your hand underneath your Unison, which will give it more markers to use its ability. And it's kind of like having an additional hand. You're going to have, your regular hand of cards, but at the same time, this can store cards for you to play with. So that makes it very special. Very special and very unique because there's nothing else really in the game that allows you to have kind of like a secondary hand of cards. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the cards I've been using. Not my exact list because I've been basically tweaking and playing with a few versions and having lots of success. Again, lots of fun, winning so much. And first, we're going to start with the backbone of the deck. You got to have their big boss, their huge, power card, which is going to be Super Saiyan Son Goku, Pan, and Super Saiyan Trunks, the Galactic Explorers. So I will say that you should run at least 2, if not 3 of these in your deck because it can be played turn 4, 4/3 energy from underneath your Vessel of Hope, and then when you have 10 markers, you can play one from your hand. Super uber powerful to get either of those off, let alone get both. Now for this card, what I want to say that's kind of interesting is you obviously have to run 1 because at the beginning of the game it comes out of your deck. Most people run 2 to replace this in case the secret rare, the Brainwashed Kai of Time, which basically removes all battle cards and unisons, brings them to the warp. If in case that happens, you have a second one to play. Now, usually what I think is if it's later in the game and that gets pulled off, you might not really have a chance to come back with your Unison and to power it up because depending on when it happens, you might have the second one, I don't know, maybe too close to the bottom of your deck and maybe the game doesn't go that long. So you might not ever see it is what I'm saying. So, I mean, there is some talk. I think a couple of people have thought about running 3 or 4. I haven't yet tried having more than 2. I will say what's cool is if you run 3 or 4 of these and you get it early, it is an extra energy to spend, but it has a power of 10, so it takes about, at least up to 10 markers when you put this on, and then it kind of splits a super combo because not only do you replace it by drawing a card, so it's kind of like, free in that sense, but you get to give 5,000 power to your leader and to another battle card. So it kind of, in a way, is a nice little battle trick. If you end up running, 3 of these or 4, it's like getting it. It's not a bad draw, where it's like other unisons, you might think, oh man, it's clogging up my hand, or like all I can do is slide it under and give it 1 additional marker, which can be good. But in this case, you're going to put it in power, draw, and then you're going to split, 5K of 5K, right? Okay, so after the Galactic Explorers, you got to run the Space Pan Soaring Through Space. This thing is tremendous. It just allows for so much burst potential because this, again, once it's underneath your spaceship, you can Spirit Boost to bring it out, using a counter or a marker from the unison to play it instead of using energy. And then for 2 energy, you can bring out a Goku and a Trunks, 1 of each, not 2 of 2 of them, not 2 Trunks and not 2 Gokus. It says 1 Goku, 1 Trunks, with 15,000 power or less. So you can bring out, even on a second turn, depending, you can bring her out and 2 other battle cards, 1 Goku, 1 Trunks. So that could be a pretty explosive turn. And one more thing I should say is I play this deck more aggro-oriented. Now, I do have still a good amount of defensive options, but keep that in mind. Like, I try to be more offensive. And the nice thing about this deck is that, again, you have the secondary hand, so you have some good, like, card advantage, card potential to, value, to gain more value out of things rather than, like, play a bunch of stuff. And then if your threats, your battle cards and everything gets knocked out or whatever, and then you run out of resources, run out of cards in your hand, then you eventually lose to like mid-range decks and longer term control and defensive decks. But again, I try to play this as more of like a faster to mid-range aggro deck. Like, you definitely want to win by the mid game. And again, certain times, depending on your hand and your setup, you can get explosive second and third turns. My one secret tech, I don't see anybody running, but this card is definitely underappreciated. Setting Forth to Space. This extra card is incredible. I really like it. I'm testing all different quantities of it because this basically is a search your deck for whatever you want, replace it, give a marker, and put something underneath here. So whatever you want, like if you want to get a pen, Galactic Explorers, you can do so. Whatever you're missing. So this helps you kind of set up your team, right? So again, please run this. You heard it here first. I've seen all the videos pretty much. Nobody talks about this card. I guarantee you, any video before this, nobody has tried using this. So take it from me. Hopefully I get credit for this if you win your tournament with it. And you're enjoying using this, give Captain Games the Super Fun Force a shout out. This is definitely a must run. And oh yeah, with this pan as well, I want to say I tried 2 and 3 copies of her. I haven't run 4. I feel like 4 would be too much because 3 I definitely see 1, if not 2. And 2 is definitely the most that I need. So there's that. And then here we go with the next package. I play the Trunks package again. So my build has been a much more aggro style, and I recommend this for people that want to play this deck, a little bit more faster to mid-range. And this is great because early on, if you drop this, this is a 15,000 critical threat, right? You put pressure. They, when they take that first hit or 2 with this, early game, most decks are like, that's fine. Give me an extra card. It's okay. But now when you're threatening the critical, now it's like, oh man, they have to either waste a card from their hand that way, or they're just going to lose a life and it's going to go to their drop. So this is great if you get this early. Like I said, you can have explosive games. I run 3 to 4 of these depending. And it also can help you awaken if you want to work a little bit faster and bring your life down, especially if your opponent's playing a slower deck. That being said, again, I really like Trunks GT, so I've played this in my other aggro red decks. But I'm happy to have it finally have a permanent home here with this GT deck. So with that being said, you also got to run Trunks Adventurous Advent. With this deck here, or with this card in this deck, you definitely play it because it works in synergy with this package, right? When you play this, it draws a card, so that's, again, basically makes it free for the value. And you can also place this underneath and give a marker in addition to the marker that this gets, so you can quickly build up your markers. Now, Next up is both of these. Having multiple of these, I run 4 of these and 3 to 4 of these, which is very important because you're going to run at least 2, if not 3 of this trunks here, this blocker, depending on the matchup. I definitely don't recommend more than 3. I've been liking 2, and this again fits with the Ultimate Squad GT package where this evolves off of a trunks. So if you need to start using something with a little bit more solid power with this guy, you got to spend a life every time you power him up, and you might not want to do that too much. So then you can evolve either of these onto him. He also again will draw a card, and you can also let's see here, place 1 sand card. Okay, then he also lets you put another card from your hand underneath. So you can, again, keep building up markers and building up your second hand here. So definitely run 2 of these at the least, if you're running this trunk package. And the reason I've also finished up this trunks package is Chain Attack Trunks, again, one of my favorite cards. I was experimenting with it in previous red aggro decks, and then it got reprinted in Mythic Booster, and then here we go with this GT deck, which again, with Intensifying Trunks, that combo I really liked. I brought it over here, because what you want to do is sometimes, depending on how good your opponent's removal is, here's some strategy, right? If you get this Trunks, you want to obviously play this Trunks on the first turn or whatever. You want to be able to attack with this Trunks, get that crit in, and then second turn you want to evolve into Chain Attack Trunks. Now, if your opponent is playing, removal, let's say something guaranteed like Cell, which on their turn, they can obviously just put an Android card under their leader, knock out one of your guys. Then I say, wait for turn 3. Get an explosive turn, because you could play him with 1 energy, and then the other 2 energy, play this, and you want to take advantage of this power. Bring out a 15,000 power or less battle card. I've tried a few different ones, and I have some that I really, really like. I'm not going to share them here yet because I want to have some surprises when I do some competitive battles. But all I can say is if you want to run this Trunks package, try to find a 15,000 battle card, run at least 3 of them, if not 4, that you can get an explosive turn or explosive start. Like I said, aggro to mid-range, and to be able to be like, boom, Chain Attack Trunks, and then you get to play a free 15,000 powered battle card that has a good effect that synergizes well with your strategy. Now with this one, same thing, like I'll play this. If I have this, for sure, I will hold on to it, this into play to also evolve, right? If I don't have a Chain Attack Trunks, I won't wait for it. I'll just play this, and then I'll put it underneath. So there's that. But yeah, this is a Trunks package I run. Trunks is one of my favorite characters, and he's one of the basically the main character alongside Goku. So it's kind of good to see him getting some shine here. Then next up, I got the Goku package. Now this one's a little bit simpler. I run 4 of the Son Goku Adventures Advent because you want, again, a lot of 1-drops with this deck because they replace themselves, and they're not really a waste because they're not going to get, if they're going to get taken out, it's not going to really affect you because you're going to play them and then you're going to put them underneath your Vessel of Hope. And then I hope to evolve it into this Son Goku. I run at least 2 to 3 of these, depending on, again, how I want to do my card count. This guy's great too because if you get a great start with the Trunks, the critical, right, with the intensifying power, this guy also has crit, So after you do this, maybe you don't have the Trunks, but you can play on your second turn. Let's say you don't have the chain attack, but you play this on turn 1. On turn 2, you can actually go boom, and then now you can even take another life and threaten 2 more critical damage. That can be a great turn for sure, and again, helps with that explosive start. Lastly, I run Super Saiyan Son Goku Soaring Through Space. This card is super awesome. I don't run 4 though. I run 3 or 2 because you don't want to see him early, and basically he's the one that like kind of recurs cards that when he attacks from your drop, puts them back under the spaceship. So again, this deck definitely has a little bit more steam to keep going into the mid-range and beyond. If you're having trouble fighting a deck that is more defensive, a lot of removal and stuff like that, then you want to try to replenish your cards and stuff like that in your battlefield as fast as possible. So he helps with that. So again, I run 2 or 3 because you don't need to see it until the mid game. And also you can, if you need to, you can get it with setting forth to space if you want to see it earlier, or if you haven't seen it and you get that card instead. Lastly, since I'm a super fan of the GT Super Saiyan 4 transformations. I went with the Super Saiyan 4 Goku Saiyan lineage package, which is self-explanatory when you try to get into the heartfelt plea. All kinds of great stuff you can do here. If you can wait your awaken, you can obviously, on the turn that you play this, the way it's going to work, you got to sequence this properly, because it says here, if it's on the front side, the energy cost of this is reduced by 1, but it doesn't really matter because you can play this from underneath your spaceship with your pan, because you can't really pay the yellow. So that's the way you want to do that. You want to get this underneath as soon as possible, and then get the pan to bring this out, right? And then it has barrier, so it's pretty safe. And then finally, when you activate your awaken, you draw 1 card, right? And it gets 10,000 K, so it turns into 25,000, and then your next play is Heartfelt Plea, right? Because Heartfelt Plea needs you to sacrifice 25,000 power battle card, and then now you draw from this awakening, draw from him, and then you have the potential to draw from the offering, and you have a powerful threat on the field. So yes, I like the Super Saiyan 4 Goku package for this. Again, really punches the mid-range build and can help you out in the late game. It's kind of tricky because you have to run one of these, right? Limit 1. I experiment with 3 to 4 of these, depending, but you only have 1 of these. All right, almost done. These last ones are going to be really quick. For super combos, I run 4 of the Giru Travel Support. It's a vanilla one, right? But I like the theme. I like seeing this little mecha guy. And since he has, the 4 or less life in that mid-range when you want to start using super combos, it's perfect. Next up, I run at least 1 hidden power, East Supreme Kai. Give somebody that double strike. And for my defensive options, like I said, I don't run a lot of defense because this is supposed to be more aggro. But I experiment with 2 to 3 Vegetas, Resolve Renewed, just as a nice counterplay card. It's a little tricky because you have to leave energy open, so it is a bit telegraphed, because it's going to be probably the only counterplay that red decks play for a while, and then same thing with the GT. So people can kind of play around it or avoid it, but it doesn't hurt to have it in your deck. If I do start to go more aggro, I want to lessen cards, I might even just sideboard this. You have to have the difference of status, though, because you got to take advantage of that Spirit Boost power. And when I first saw this deck, I started looking at a lot of Spirit Boost cards, and I was like, yeah, this, super powerful. Hopefully they don't ban it because of this. I've been using this in many other decks. If anything, because of this card, if they don't want this to be too OP, they just have to errata this with a limit, -3 or something. Only Spirit Boost up to 3, 4, 5 or something, whatever they seem is fair, whatever they think is fair. Lastly, got to run the Yamcha because this deck definitely needs some sort of free play so you can keep aggroing and then kind of, weaken their battlefield to some degree. Lastly, in conclusion, let's talk Secret Rare. Now, I don't have the Vegeta Unbridled Power. So, funny enough, I got Frieza Army Unborn. This is a pseudo, if not, kind of a slightly not as good Secret Rare, but it still works. With this deck, I find myself at 3, 2, 1 life, being able to win. And of course, this, when you're at 2 or less life, basically this is reduced to a 5 energy instead of 8. And like Vegeta, when this comes out, this can blow up the battlefield, ignoring barrier, but you don't have to sacrifice it, so that's its plus. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the dual attack that Vegeta does, so Vegeta can come in and do dual attack, triple strike for 6, and this can only quadruple strike for 4. But again, it stays into play. So again, that might factor into your game. Who knows? And then of course, the Vegeta does 1 damage with deflect, and this one basically does one card from their hand, essentially. Yeah, so you can play this and get to look at their hand if it comes out. Again, it doesn't have deflect. But I like using this because I don't have to worry about sparking, because you need sparking on the Vegeta. And usually this deck doesn't need to go into the secret rare. You know, it doesn't have to rely on that because you have the Galaxy Explorers. But I like playing this. It's kind of thematic to have the space, you know, enemy villain thing going on here with Frieza, Brawly, and Paragus. And yeah, I mean, again, it still works. You know, it still works. So if you guys don't want to, you know, especially for a budget, if you don't want to put in the investment for the Vegeta, then I definitely recommend Frieza's Army Reborn. Unless it gets popular, then hey, you guys heard it here first. Still decent, still great, and it's not necessary to even have the Vegeta in this deck for sure. So there you guys go. That is my Goku GT deck, or should we say Goku Pan and Trunks. It's super fun. It's great in terms of being thematic. It gives you a lot of things to do. You know, you can, again, you put cards in the, you know, in this kind of secondary compartment here. You have recursion. You have different ways to like combo and have like some burst turns by getting out a few cards and stuff, battle cards. So I definitely recommend you guys trying this. All right, thanks so much for hanging out. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think, what your list has been like with Goku GT, and please like and subscribe. I'm gonna have a lot more Dragon Ball content for sure. All right, guys, don't forget, keep your face safe, pray, spread that love, be positive, be thankful. We'll be coming back at you. Peace.